Good afternoon and welcome to the lunchtime broadcast where we highlight the news making waves ranging from current affairs, community stories, sports and economic news. Here are the headlines. Medical equipment powered with nuclear energy on the rise in Namibia. Aub River north of Mariental floods golf club, and fish exports top $3 billion Namibian in 2023. I am Glenora Shipura and this is NMH at 1. In our midday news update, Namibia has received showers over the last few days, and this is what Mariental looks like after a heavy downpour of 55 millimeters. The Aub River just north of Mariental has now flooded the golf club. This was confirmed by David de Klerk, chairman of the Hardap Farmers Association, who said that the golf club is currently underwater. Visual News highlights local stories from across Namibia. Right after the break, we get into that. Getting into our visual news, Health Minister Dr. Kalumbi Shangula this week told Namibian media in Russia that the country already has medical equipment that works with nuclear energy for the treatment of cancer that is on the rise in Namibia. He explains that the government, however, needs to implement storage facilities such as a bunker that will cost around $60 million Namibian for this exercise. Kalumbi was speaking in Russia where he was attending several high-level meetings including the Atom Export 2024. This video is courtesy of Jemima Biekas.
I'm now trying to get the necessary infrastructure in place at Oshakati Hospital. We do have the equipment, but the equipment needs to be hosted in a bunker, what we call a bunker. And that is quite something which costs a lot of money. It's in the region of 60 million Namibia dollar to establish a bunker where we can put now the Babatron at the Shagati Hospital so that the patients in the northern regions no longer need to be referred to Windhoek, because currently now Windhoek is overwhelmed because it is the only center in the whole country which does radiotherapy.
Your Excellency, there's been a number of innovations and inventions here on display. Are there anything that has interested you as Health Minister that you are thinking of implementing back home?
Of course, the main reason why we had to travel all the way is to come to learn what all other countries are doing. You know, it is so interesting that both from Asia, from Europe, from Africa, from Latin America, they are here. And a few weeks ago, I attended another conference in Colombia where we were focusing mainly on cervical cancer. And we have learned quite a good lessons, which we are going to apply in Namibia. So that is really, really important because I can tell you that the number of cancer cases in Namibia is on the increase. And it's really a big worry for the Minister of Health and Social Services. And therefore, we are trying to do everything possible so that our people can also access the technology which are already available in the world.
Your Excellency, I mean, Honorable Minister, how would you advise Namibians that are, I mean, there are many people that are really, really scared of nuclear energy, with it having a very bad reputation. But at the same time, it is also poised and presented as the best energy for the future. What is your advice, especially given that you've just last year launched the atomic board? How can this fear be overcome?
I think we just need to popularize and to create awareness among the population. We understand the background because the use of nuclear energy was in the military, and what comes to our attention is actually the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki using the atomic bomb, and from there everybody had been wary of atomic energy because it caused such destruction that its impact is even felt up to now, and therefore that.
The newspaper review segment takes us into top stories in Namibia's daily newspapers on the other side of the break.
Hi, Sonia.
Hi, Tufeni. What are you reading?
I'm reading about the Child Care and Protection Act in this pamphlet I got from school.
What's that?
It is Namibia's main law for the children and the issues affecting them. The act classifies here that a child is anyone under the age of 18 years. Check out some of the rights meant to protect you. For more information, contact the Children's Advocate.
For more information, contact the Children's Advocate Namibia in the Office of the Ombudsman on 061 20 73 111. Send us an SMS on 20401. SMS costs 40 cents. You can also send us a message via our Facebook page. Remember, the services of the Children's Advocate are free of charge.
Getting into our newspaper review, starting off with the Namibian Sun's front page, which reports that in a strongly worded letter, Youth Minister Agnes Zhongarero this week instructed National Youth Council Executive Chairperson Sharonese Bush to reverse the suspension of the organization's director, Calista Swartz Hoasis. Zhongarero, who has previously been accused of siding with Swartz Hoasis in the latter's fight with Bush, said the suspension is null and void and should be revoked with immediate effect. The minister added that the suspension is unlawful because she did not rectify it as line minister. Swartz Hoasis was suspended a fortnight ago after NYC Representative Council meeting at Ondangwa was called off as a result of infighting among delegates, including a near physical confrontation between her and Vakwamwina Kamatwedu, a representative of the Popular Democratic Movement. Over to page 3, Information, Communication and Technology Minister Emma Theophilus yesterday announced that government has availed funds for various projects under her ministry. During a stakeholder engagement, she highlighted the Universal Access Service Initiative as one of these projects, adding it aims to roll out 30 radio access network towers at an estimated cost of $110 million for 3 years. This initiative aims to bridge the digital divide in unserved and underserved areas of the country, she said. Now, a further $20 million has been allocated for the establishment of the Namibia Cybersecurity Incidents Response Team under the Communications Regulatory Authority of Namibia and $1.5 million for the implementation of a 5G strategy. Over to the Republicans' front page. At Independence Day, only 3% of Namibians lived in informal housing, but already before the recent census survey, this had grown to 34% of all residents in the country. According to the economist Namene Kalili, Windhoek needs decent housing units for 40% to 45% of its residents who are currently living in informal housing. According to Kalili, land supply in the capital is not in line with demand. He emphasized that every person must have a place where he or she can stay. Over to page 3 of the Republican, students due to graduate from the University of Namibia in April have expressed their frustration and disappointment over the recent decision by the institution to withhold academic records of students with outstanding tuition fees and not update their online academic status. According to the affected students, the decision hinders their ability to get jobs that will enable them to pay off their outstanding tuition fees. Despite several attempts to discuss the issue with UNAM's management, the students say they have not yet received any response. On the Allgemeine Zeitung's front page, it reports that Attorney General Martha Imalwa claims that Fish-Rot corruption scandal defendant James Hautukilipi has not disclosed all his financial information about his assets to the court. The applicant, James Hautukilipi, continually fails to disclose to this court where the funds amounting to $61.8 million deposited in a bank account in Dubai are located. Attorney General Martha Imalwa said this in a statement on the application by Fish-Rot corruption scandal defendant James Hautukilipi, asking the court to provide him with nearly $6 million from his frozen assets to pay his legal fees. On page 3 of the Allgemeine Zeitung is attending to Namibia's economy, which grew by 4.2% last year, recording positive growth for the third year in a row after COVID-19 hit the country in 2020. Investors poured almost $60 billion into the Namibian economy last year, most of it in the mining and exploration industry. Figures released by the Namibia Statistics Agency on Tuesday show that the country's gross fixed capital formation amounted to around $25 billion last year, or 74% more than in 2022. After the break, we continue with our newspaper review.
Neo Paints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neo Paints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neo Paints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
We get into the second half of the newspaper review, starting off with the Namibian's front page. 4 people, including a police officer from the Onga police station, appeared in court after allegedly kidnapping human trafficking victims in a bid to return them to their traffickers. The 4 men appeared in the Ohangwena Magistrates Court last week and were kept in custody. Their officer and 3 others are accused of aiding the escape of 4 Ethiopian nationals who were trafficked into Namibia through Angola as part of a larger plot to hand them back to their traffickers. On to the Namibians, page 3. During a heated parliamentary standing committee debate, lawmakers criticized commercial bank executives, accusing them of adopting a profit-driven approach reminiscent of mafia tactics, especially considering high interest rates on loans. The Parliamentary Standing Committee on Economics and Public Administration yesterday met with representatives from the Bankers Association of Namibia, Bank Windhoek, FNB Namibia, Nedbank Namibia, and Leshagon Namibia. This was to address public grievances regarding high interest rates and alleged discriminatory practices within the banking sector. Moving over to the New Era's front page, Namibia has finally reached 50-50 gender equality in the National Assembly, thanks to the various political parties implementing 50-50 gender equality in their leadership structures. Namibia's commitment to gender equality is one of the most exemplary in Africa. Speaker Peter Kashavivi said Namibia's experience would serve as a yardstick for other parliaments. He, however, stated that efforts should be employed to make sure that the status quo is sustained. Over to page 3, Oshana police said the region's holding cells are bursting at the seams. The situation has now been blamed on the slow pace of investigations. According to Oshana Deputy Commissioner Nico Steenkamp, conditions in police holding cells worsened due to the growing number of inmates. Some suspects are on bail but do not have money to pay, so they are kept in there, he added. Oshana Police spokesperson Tombas Ayambo noted that Oshakati and Ondangwa cells capacity is 130, but currently accommodating 237 and 258 respectively, while Aub River cells capacity is 23 and currently detained 95 suspects. Moving over to market watch, Namibia exported $3 billion Namibian worth of fish in 2023, marking a $400 million Namibian increase in fish exports compared to 2022. This is according to the Namibia Statistics Agency's Agriculture and Fisheries Bulletin for the fourth quarter of 2023. During the fourth quarter of 2023, exports of fish and crustaceans, mollusks, and other aquatic invertebrates were valued at $3 billion Namibian, an increase when compared to $2.6 billion Namibian recorded in the fourth quarter of 2022. The NSA said the main export destination for the fourth quarter of 2023 was Spain, accounting for 30.5% of total exports. That brings us to the end of our newspaper review. Now, a group of disgruntled workers handed over a petition to Namdeb Diamond Corporation on Tuesday containing several demands. We'll delve into this after the break.
Hello and welcome to today's Sports Rep Show.
I am your host, Jesse Jackson Kauraifa. In replay, Namibia, who had won the toss for the first time on this tour.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with tennis news, both on the WTA for women's and
Getting into our economic news, a group of disgruntled workers handed over a petition to Namdeb Diamond Corporation on Tuesday containing several demands, including the provision of free accommodation. The Landless People's Movement delivered a petition to Namdeb on behalf of the employees. The community is tired of being milk dry through rentals. Debera's employees had to sign new contracts of employment under duress, either to sign new contracts or face retrenchment without any negotiations with the union as per Section 50 of the Labour Act. The petition reads, LPM also wants Namdeb to allow the Debera's employees to reside in accommodation for free until proper negotiations with the mine workers union are concluded. Let's now take a look at our financial indicators. The Namibian dollar trades against the British pound at 23.97, against the euro at 20.54, against the US dollar at 19.05. 2 Namibian dollars and 63 cents gets you 1 Chinese yuan. On the Namibia Stock Exchange, Namibia Breweries went up at 0.03% and Lesotho Holdings Namibia went up at 2.50%, while First Rand Namibia went down at 0.50%. Overall index went down at 0.05%, while local index went up at 0.12%. On the commodities market, gold, platinum, and Brent crude oil went up, while copper went down. Brent crude oil trading at 0.26%, going for $86 and 61 cents per barrel. Let's take a look at our news from Africa. A businessman who is a member of a powerful South African family has been linked to the murder of popular South African rapper aka real name Kiernan Forbes, and his close friend Tibbs Motswane were gunned down outside a restaurant in Durban on the 10th of February last year. A statement presented to court by the investigating officer said that a company owned by businessman Sydney Mufondo Nkaba allegedly sent over 800,000 rand to the bank account of one of the suspects currently on trial over the rapper's killing. The payment was allegedly made a day after AKA's murder. The prosecutor, citing phone records, also said that the suspect who received the money, Muswitwemba Harvey Kwabeni, allegedly made a call to Nkaba before the transaction was completed. Nkaba is yet to comment on the prosecutor's statement. The prosecutor alleges that the money was then split equally between the 7 suspects. Kwabeni said in an affidavit that he received the funds as payment for consultation services he provided to the company, but the prosecutor argued that there's no evidence showing that Kwabeni provided any service to the company to warrant the payment. One of Africa's largest airlines, Kenya Airways, made an operating profit in 2023, the first time since 2017. Chairman Michael Joseph called the $80 million excess a significant milestone. The AFP news agency quotes him as saying part of the reason for the success was more than 50% jump in revenue thanks to an increase in passenger numbers. Kenya Airways, which is partly owned by the government, has had troubled past with huge debts, and it was hit hard by the fallout from the COVID pandemic. These figures highlight the airline's remarkable performance over the year and provide encouraging signs of continued recovery within the air transportation sector, he said. We'll return shortly with international news. Organized crime rings who fueled an explosion of human trafficking and cyber scam centers during the pandemic have expanded from Southeast Asia into a global network, making up to $3 trillion a year, the head of Interpol said on Wednesday. Driven by online anonymity, inspired by new business models, and accelerated by COVID, these organized crime groups are now working at a scale that was unimaginable a decade ago. Interpol's Secretary General Jürgen Stock told a briefing at the Global Police Coordination Body's Singapore office what began as a regional crime threat in Southeast Asia has become a global human trafficking crisis, with millions of victims both in the cyber scam centers and as targets. The new cyber scam centers, often staffed by unwilling staff, trafficked with the promise of legitimate jobs, had helped organized crime groups diversify their revenue from drug trafficking, Stock said. Now, drug trafficking businesses still contributed 40% to 70% of criminal groups' income, he said. But we see groups clearly diversifying their criminal businesses using drug trafficking routes also for trafficking of human beings. We'll be right back with more NMH after this. Thank you for staying with NMH at 1. We now take a look at our local sports news. Organizers are thrilled to host the country's biggest youth football and netball tournament, the Nedbank Namibian Newspaper Cup. The 2024 edition takes place over the Easter weekend from Friday to Monday at the Lager Sports Stadium in Gobabis, with over 10,000 people expected to flock to the capital of the Omaheke region. The Confederation of African Volleyball Zone 6 Beach Volleyball Tour is set to kick off its 2024 season with the first leg hosted by Namibia. The events will take place at the DTS Beach Volleyball Courts in Windhoek from the 4th to the 7th of April. This leg marks the beginning of a series of tournaments across the zone, with countries such as Mozambique, Malawi, South Africa set to host subsequent legs. Namibia, having hosted the same leg last year on Easter weekend at the Mole Beach in Swakopmund, is ready to once again welcome beach volleyball enthusiasts from across the region. Teams from Botswana, South Africa, Zimbabwe and Angola have already confirmed their participation in this exciting event. Namibia will be represented by 6 male and 6 female teams. After years of neglect, the Usakos Stadium is a symbol of pride in the community and is finally undergoing much-needed renovations. Due to financial constraints and a lack of maintenance, the stadium fell into disrepair. However, with renewed efforts and support from the community, the stadium is now on the road to revival. The Ministry of Youth, Sports and National Service has allocated $2 million during the financial year 2022 to 2023 for the upgrade of the Usakos Youth Sports Stadium.
We are all seeking connection to each other, to the world, to the spaces we exist in.
Poor sportsmanship right now from the lads.
You might be physically ready, your body is ready, but mentally.
Here's another chance, and it is a goal from Vinduk.
Sy sê wie hy is aan neertrek en daai bal het my grond gevat. Ja, hy het grond gevat en is
but just enough next.
Running that mountain up. Okay, so we will be doing this for the mountain climber. More advanced, slightly advanced.
So is jou trolley.
Let's take a look at our international sports news. Defending champion Daniel Medvedev saw off a late challenge from Nicolas Jarry to book Miami Open semi-final rematch with Jannik Sinner. Medvedev beat Sinner in last year's Miami final, but the Italian came from 2 sets down to claim the Australia Open title in January. World number 4 Medvedev cruised through the first set against Jarry 6-2, but had to battle his way through a tie-break win in the second set as the Chilean fought his way back into the match. The semi-final clash will take place on Saturday. NMH at 1 will be right back with the highlights. We have run out of time, but thank you for joining us on our lunch hour news broadcast. From me, Glenda Shipura, until next time, and happy Easter weekend.